Hi, it's Andy, and today I'm bringing you my August wrap-up. So, as we saw in July, I hit a wall, I hit a slump, I had not a great time. I had surgery, Hamish had surgery, it was a whole thing. But August, I was away for a week, so my reading did dip while I was away. But I had a really good time, and I still managed to read 11 books. 11 books, that's amazing, considering last month was not as amazing. So of course, I will go over the 11 books I read and the 3 books that I DNF'd this month because I did get back on my DNF game. I'm going to go over the DNFs first, just to get that out of the way. I can't remember when I read them, I just know that I DNF'd them. And we kind of want to get the kind of negativity out of the way at the start, so then we can talk about the books that I read and enjoyed. So the first DNF I want to speak about is Off the Charts Chemistry. I had this on Kindle and I also had an ARC for it. The ARC was actually corrupted, so I couldn't review it, but then I got the ebook off Kindle and I was able to read it and review it. This was a rough one, I'm not gonna lie. Why can I vividly remember this, but I can't vividly remember some books that I've read? This book, I can't remember the character names because when can I ever remember character names? This is about a chemistry teacher and a PE teacher in a school in America in a small town, and she has been there her whole life and has gone back to teach, and her friends are all teachers, and he's just moved there and he's disliked by the other PE staff because one of them thought he should get the job, and it's a very like toxic bro environment, even though they're like in their 50s, not the main character but like the other guys that are being children about it. And frankly, that was my biggest gripe about this. Not the guys, the PE guys, but like this entire book. It was an adult romance with with adult content, but it read like a high school drama. These characters, who were teachers, were acting like teenagers, and it got on my nerves so much. Like, they kept referring to the PE teacher, like the main character, as the hottest guy to ever walk the halls of whatever it is, high school. How old are you? You're in your 30s. You are in your 30s. Like, do we talk like that? Sometimes, me and my friends, yeah. Like, we will say things that if you heard them out of context or didn't understand or whatever, like, we sound like idiots. We sound like teenagers. It's not, you'd be like, okay. But my problem is, it was constant. They literally never used his name. It was always, oh, the hottest guy that ever walked the halls of the full title. The full title, every single time. Every single time he was mentioned, someone had to say it. And I'm like, you're grown-ups. You're adults. Some of you have children. Please act like it. Like, it was so high school. Like, if it was high school characters acting like that, I wouldn't mind, because that's what high school people are like. Children, teenagers. Like, that's what it's like. I get it. That's what teenagers are like. But you're adults, you're teachers, and you're acting like it's like how people watch Grey's and they're like that. Like, if like people that actually work in hospitals watch Grey's and they're like, that's not how. If you're in an on-call room, you're unconscious, not sleeping with the next person that walks through the door. Like, so I don't know what my hair is doing at this point. Yeah, it was so cringy and so I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Like, it was like someone who I genuinely had to look up the author, because I was like, is this a white author who has decided to dip their toes into adult fiction and is just not quite used to it yet? No, she only writes adult fiction. She only writes adult romance, and her characters were like teenagers, and not, and like, there's no good way to put it. It was really juvenile, and I really disliked it. Right. That was really negative. That felt really negative. I genuinely, the visuals, like the world building, like the town and stuff was really nice. It was really lovely. It sounds like a really nice place that I would like to visit. But the characters bugged me so much that I couldn't finish it. I got quite a bit through it before I threw the towel, but I couldn't finish it. Next is one that I'm disappointed that I DNF'd because I liked the author's previous 2 books that I've read, and that is Glass Houses by Melanie Murphy. I was really looking forward to reading this. It is a book that deals with grief and self-harm and suicidal ideation and things like that, and I just couldn't connect with the characters. Like I said, there's like certain things that the characters are dealing with, and I could not like, if they oh my god, what's going on with my hair? Sorry, I'm so distracted by my hair, I can't talk about the book. These characters could have all fallen in front of a bus and I would not have cared. I just could not find myself the will to care about these characters. I got a decent way through this, and while I don't think it was the book, it was definitely me with the book. Like, for other people, this is going to be amazing, but personally, I just couldn't get involved in the characters. I couldn't get attached to the characters, and whether that be because I was coming out of a slumpy month or whatever, I just couldn't find myself I just couldn't do it. I didn't care. And if I don't care about the characters, I'm very much a character-based person, I just can't read the book. So unfortunately I DNF'd this. Like I said, I loved her previous book, which is confusing for me because surely you think if you'd loved the previous book, you'd love the next book, but I suppose that's not always the case. So unfortunately, this was DNF. And the last DNF of the month was My Plain Jane by Cindy Hand, Brodie Ashton and Jodie Meadows. Again, I actually DNF'd this one because it was so juvenile. And do you know what's funny? I've never read Jane Eyre. Is it Jane Eyre? I think it's Jane Eyre. I've never read it. But this sounded interesting. This is about Jane, and she can see ghosts. And there's a society who deal with ghosts, and they find out she can see ghosts, so they come to her school where she teaches, I think. And her friend, who is one of the Bronte sisters, because obviously that's the whole thing. Literally, this guy comes into the school and they're like, oh my god, a boy! Oh my god, a boy! And I'm like, no. It's like, if one more person, I actually said to Tori, I was like, if one more person says, oh my god, a boy, I'm DNFing this book. Well, I DNF'd the book. Literally, like, I could not. Even the ghosts of the girls that died at school were like, oh my god, a boy. I don't care. Like, again, I think you would like this maybe if you'd read Jane Eyre. Maybe you would like this if you don't mind YA, but it was too silly, too whimsical for me. I don't do very well with whimsy, and again, my problem, not the book's problem. I could see why you would enjoy this and laugh at it and stuff like that. I just could not. I hate everybody so much. Now on to the books I actually read and enjoyed in the month of August. So the first book I read, actually in the month of August, was Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And I know, if you've been here for a while, you know that I swore up and down I would never read another Grady Hendrix book. I swore up and down it would not happen, but this one seemed a lot more up my alley. This follows girls who are sent to, or a girl, and the friends she makes there, who are sent to a wayward girls home. So basically this is for girls who are unmarried and usually underage, who find themselves pregnant, and their parents send them here so that they can be pregnant, have the baby, come back, and they can all just pretend it didn't happen. We can all just pretend it didn't happen. But unfortunately at these places, a lot of the time they were treated very, very poorly. Obviously, at this stage, I think it was like the 60s, 70s, being pregnant out of wedlock was seen as a moral failing. And especially in like a lot of religious society within America. They actually cover this storyline in one of the seasons of Call the Midwife, and I really love Call the Midwife. So I thought, do you know what? If the horror, Jem read it and said the horror element isn't like, it's not a horror like his other books. The only other one I've read is the one that looks like a cassette tape. It's like set in the 80s, and My Best Friend's Exorcism, that's what it is. And that book, I hated that book for all the reasons that it was good. Like, it did exactly what it promised it was going to do. It was horrific, and I'm not a horror reader, so you know, it was like he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and I did not like what he said he was going to do, so I didn't like it. And there was so much vomiting. That's the thing, I don't like egregious, I don't like described vomiting, and unfortunately there was a bit of that in here, but it was fine. It was one bit and I could just go over it. It was morning sickness type stuff. But this book, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the characters. I thoroughly enjoyed the lore. I was so attached to these girls and their stories, and like, I really enjoyed this. I was so surprised that I really enjoyed this. It is a horror, but it's not a horror in like the boo sort of way. Like, it's not a it's not that kind of horror. It's like the horror of the time, the horror of the things that happen to them, and oh my god, why? And then they get involved in things that they shouldn't, as I said, with the witchcraft and stuff like that. I've just messed up my hair. Amazing. We're going with this just now. Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Would I read more Grady Hendrix? Yes, if it's like this. No, if it's not. But I'm so glad I read this. It was so good, and I really enjoyed it. Next, I read Well Actually, which I actually had a arc for and didn't get to the arc before the book came, so well done, Andy. Good on you. But I read it and I actually really enjoyed it. This is about our main character, whose name I can't remember, Eva, and she has always wanted to be a journalist. She has studied to be a journalist, and now she is currently working at this place where she hosts a show called Sausage Talk, where they eat sausages, like hot dogs and stuff, and talk to celebrities. It's kind of like Hot Ones, but not. And she's like, hates herself for it, but it is a job. And then this guy becomes really famous online, and ages ago, like, he has a podcast teaching men how to be like decent human beings. But she dated him in college for a little bit, and she was like, you hypocrite. And she is so offended, she goes online and she blasts him on TikTok, and then goes to sleep because she's drunk, and it goes viral. And they end up having to go on, like, he ends up on her show, and they bargain to go on like so many dates to see if he can change her mind about him. And through that she realises that he has actually changed, and realisations about her work and stuff like that come to light. It's such a funny... Sorry, I just remembered a thing about it. It's such a funny book, and really, like, I love Maisie Eddings. I think she's hilarious. But genuinely, this is just such a good time romance. Like, there's no real high stakes. Like, she's quite a grating character. Like, he is so nice. Like, it's a grumpy sunshine, but she is the grumpy. He's such a golden retriever. It's honestly just so much fun in a book. It is so queer, and I love it. Then I restarted, because I started it before and finished, Falling Hard for the Royal Guard. I don't know why I stopped reading it. I do, because I was struggling with reading ebooks and I had it on ebook. And that's why I stopped reading it before. But I actually managed to finish this book, and honestly, I now don't want to read the next one because it's not the same characters, and I'm so attached to the characters. I love this book. I love this book so much. Megan Glosson has a way of writing characters and like writing found family in such an amazing way that I just absolutely fell head over heels for all of the characters in this. So this is about our main character, Maggie, and she lives in the Tower of London with her dad, who is a beefeater, or a yeoman. He's a yeoman, that's what he is. I think they're still known as beefeaters, I can't remember, but he's a yeoman. And they're like the guards of the tower. It's kind of a ceremonial position, but he was previously in the army. Like, they have to be in the army, but it is for like older gentlemen who are maybe closer to retirement age, because they don't actually have active duty, but they're still technically in the service. Anyway, and she also works at the tower. She works in the ticket booth, and it is a crappy job with a crappy boss and crappy co-workers, and she's just in a crappy situation. She also has a really crappy ex who decides to come along and try and get her back after being a cheating little fucktard. But yeah, so she one night walks into this guy, like slams into this guy as she is like walking back home, and it turns out he is one of the guards. So like the guards that wear the bearskin, who are not beefeaters, but everybody thinks are beefeaters. I can't remember what they're called though. But he is one of the guards, and so his regiment keep like, because they rotate different regiments that do the guard duty, and she befriends him and the other guys in his like regiment, who are come around every so often. And yeah, I really love this. Like, it never ever went where I thought it was going to go. She made a bargain to go on like so many dates, not with him, but in general. And some of the dates are just, it's a hot mess. It just shows how much of a hot mess Tinder is. I have a floaty here, I'm sorry. But yeah, this again, it's just fun, it's funny, it's like a rom-com, good time, and so real. Like, she is such a real character, such a real person, and I'm excited to read the next one, which is something to do with knights, but I can't remember what it is. I'm so glad I read this. And then I continued my reread of the AZebraReads series with Fucking Wild. This follows Tess, who is the best friend of Rachel from the first book, and Ryan, who is one of the players on the team, as you can obviously see. Look at Tess though, look how cute she is. Like, that dress, I love it. I love it so much. And Tess is in a situation where she is, this book has triggers out the wazoo. Like, she was in, or is still married to this guy in an abusive relationship. She's had a traumatic upbringing. As a whole, like I say, it is trigger warning city, so please do check the content warning list at the start, which Emily always puts in. It gives you the tropes, tags, content warnings, and then sort of meet the characters in this book. And I love these two. Like, Tess is bisexual, Ryan is bi-wife energy, like top tier bi-wife energy, and they're just so cute, they're so sweet, and I love them. And I'm so, again, this, just rereading these just pulled me out of slump. Tori was reading them, and so I was just, the FOMO got to me. I've already read them at least twice, and the FOMO got to me, so I had to read them again, and I just zoomed through these books. These are so good, and very, very heavy on the smut. So be aware. Like I said, it was a continued reread, so next was Pucking Sweet, which is book 3 in this series, which follows Poppy St. James. There's only one Poppy St. James. And Novi and Coley. I keep switching between calling him Coley and calling him something else, because they all go by their surnames and stuff. So this again goes back to the start, just before Rachel starts her new job, and continues on. There's bits in Pucking Around that once you read this makes so much more sense. Sorry, books are falling over. And again, this is a poly romance. This has again a lot of trigger warnings, content warnings. We've got people with health issues, we've got people who have horrendous upbringings, situations that are just like with mental health and stuff, so well represented in the form of like how you can get overwhelmed and anxious and stuff like that, in my opinion, based on like my experience of it. I love this. Again, every time I read one, I'm like, that's my new favourite. But then I reread them again, I'm like, oh. But this book was so good. Like I say, it goes back to the start of Pucking Around, and there's so much that you don't pick up in Pucking Around until you read this and you go, oh, okay. So that's what happened. And it weaves, like, all these stories weave together so beautifully. And Emily, Dr. Emily Rath, hates herself for it, because she had to go back and figure out what was going on while she wrote this book. And yeah, again, just a good time with the Rays, and Poppy St. James. And then I read Pucking Ever After Volume 1 and Volume 2. These are short story collections from the world, things that people have asked about, things that you know, situations where maybe happen off page, and Emily has written them into this. So it's like extra chapters and stuff like that, short stories, things that happen in the future. Again, check the content warnings for these, because there are some really traumatic things that happen in these chapters. There's even one that there's a note on it that says like it is really traumatic birth situation. I think it says non-fatal traumatic birth is what the warning is, but these really do complement them really well. There's some bits in these like what was it called? Like emergency contact. Is it emergency contact? Not emergency contact, that's wrong. The dentist story. If you've read them, the dentist story in this is amazing. And I love it. And I love these characters so much. It's really just getting to know the characters from slightly different angles that wouldn't make sense in the books, but you just want some more. That's what these are for. You know, even though it was actually one of the last books I read in the month. I'm just going to talk about it now because it's part of the series, and that is the latest book in the series. I was going to say the last, it's not. The latest book in AZebraReads series, which is Pucking Strong. Now this follows This follows Teddy and Hendrik when they first meet 6 years ago in the first chapter, and then skip 6 years forward when Teddy starts working for the team again. And then just as he is about to start, it's like on his first day, he's just come in to sign all his contracts and stuff, something terrible happens. Hendrik gets some terrible news regarding his family, and so he needs to go back to Sweden to deal with it. Sweden. Ilmari is Finnish, so sometimes I get like, and there's another Larson, I think his name is also Swedish, I think. But yeah, so he has to go back to Sweden, but he's kind of like so dazed by what's just happened that he doesn't know how to, like, what to do. He is just in a state of shock. So Teddy takes control and he's like, look, I don't start for another few days. Why don't I go with you? I will help. Like, the team is on this. I'm the only one that's free. I'm a doctor. I can help. So they do that. He goes to Sweden and things go awry. When they end up, and if you read the end of Pucking, sweet, you'll get there's a crossover chapter. They have to enter into a fake marriage. And it just spirals from there. So Teddy is a sweet, anxious being. He is gay. He's been raised by a single mother with 3 older sisters. He is the baby. He is a double Pisces, and he is just chaos on legs. Absolute chaos on legs. And Henrik is someone who is so private that he basically, like, no one has ever seen his house. He is so shut down that he doesn't even realise how shut down he is. And these two personalities clash spectacularly. Like, I'm talking amazingly spectacularly. This is demisexual rep, which is amazing because it's not often we get to see demisexual rep, especially when it's someone who's older and is coming out and realising their sexuality, as in, like, someone who's in their 30s, especially since the whole time he just thought he was broken. He thought, you know, everybody else has sexual desire, I don't, and obviously just there's something wrong with me. But they're not. Other sexualities are out there, but there's one for every situation. And as a demisexual mess myself, I really appreciate that. I love this series. I love the series in general, but I love this book. Like, these characters just, the reels, the carousels and stuff that Emily Rath has been putting up lately about this book have been making me cry. Reading, like, things on pictures, seeing fan art of these characters has been making me cry. That's how much I love this series. Everybody should read this unless you have, you know, content warnings, trigger warnings. If you can't read it, I'm not going to force you, but if you think you could even slightly enjoy this, I thoroughly recommend this series. Next, I read The Love Match by Priyanka Taslim. I was worried about this because it's YA, and YA and I don't always get along, but I needn't have worried. I love this. This is a story about a Bangladeshi girl who is, I think she's in that space where she's about to leave high school and go to college or, like, take a gap year or whatever, and she's at that age where things are kind of going a bit awry everywhere. You're worried about losing your friends, you're worried about your family, you're worried about college, you're worried about so much. And she's working at her friend's dad's chai shop, and she ends up starting to fall for the new dishwasher, who is, like, poor and an orphan and doesn't have, like, anything, but he is so romantic, so sweet, so kind, so, like, obviously into her that she is falling from. But at the same time, her mum kind of puts in place not an arranged marriage, but, like, when two families get together and they're like, we want our children to marry, so we're going to force them together until they like each other and then they'll get married. So it's like quasi-arranged marriage. I'm not sure how it works. This is a Desi book, and I obviously don't understand the ins and outs of the society, but it's that sort of idea. It's like a arranged but not arranged. Like, it wasn't pre-arranged since they were children arranged, but the families have decided these two should get married, and so we're going to force them together. But the guy that she ends up being forced together with, his name, I can't remember, Harun. So Zara is our female main character. Harun is the sort of rich, nerdy guy that she gets pushed towards, but they do not get on. He is very standoffish and aloof, and he's not interested, but she's also not interested. So they kind of develop a plan where they make it look like they're dating, but actually it's allowing them to do other things. And like I said, she has started to fall for Naeem, who is the dishwasher at her work, but her family would never allow her to marry him or be with him at all because he is an orphan, a poor orphan who has nothing to his name. But in a weird twist of fate, she actually ends up enjoying her time with Harun, and they start to enjoy each other's company, build a friendship, and get to know each other more. This is so dramatic. Like, I love this book so much. It is so, like, it is bordering on, like, Shakespearean in some parts. I know it is based on a lot of, like, I have another hair. It is based on, like, Desi's storytelling, and they are sort of, there's a lot of talk about, like, Desi dramas and stuff like that. If you've read, I think I'm thinking Shakespearean because of the ones that are actually based on Shakespeare's. There's The Taming of the Shrew is the Shakespeare, but I can't remember the book. But I read it a few months ago and I really enjoyed it as well. But yeah, this book, honestly, there's something in my eye, I'm sorry. This book was so funny and so sweet and so cute, and like I say, the drama has you like left, right, all over the place. It's just amazing, and I'm so excited to read more from this author. And then I read Our Darkest Night by Jennifer Robson. I'm actually finally back on my World War II reading. Finally. Hamish is so cute. He's over there asleep. I'm sorry, I just got his eye there. Not his eye, like I just saw him. Anyway, I need to stop yapping. So this book follows Nina, who is a Jew living in Venice, and is getting to the point where the Jewish people have been sort of, their options have become smaller and smaller and smaller. Her dad is a doctor. Her mum had a stroke and is currently in a home to look after because they can't look after her full time. Her dad is a doctor, but he is no longer allowed to practice. Why can't I speak? He's no longer allowed to practice, and so she's no longer allowed to go to school, even though she's like university school, like she wants to go to medical school, because they are Jewish, but things are starting to narrow further. And when her dad realises what's about to happen, where the Jews are going to be carted off to camps, not that I think he realises exactly what's going to happen, but he realises things are happening and it's not good. He plots with a priest who is his friend to get her out. And so what happens is she enters a fake marriage with Nico, who is the son of this family, and she goes back to their home. He was training to be a priest, but he kind of lost his faith a bit and he stepped away from it. But his family think that he stepped away from it because he fell for her, which causes a bit of a rift. And it is really about their love story, because they start to fall for each other. They start to sort of, it's not weird, but like they're in a situation where things are dangerous. Things are, you're not sure one day to the next what's going to happen. But they are finding solace in each other, finding solace in the family, and eventually they do get found out, and she's taken away to a camp. I can't remember the first camp she goes to, but she does end up in Auschwitz-Birkenau, where she is. This starts quite late into the war. Luckily, she doesn't have to spend too much time before the camp is liberated. This story is very, very surface level. I did enjoy it for the characters. Like, I loved the characters. I was so attached to the characters. Sorry, I'm getting pinged on WhatsApp. I enjoy these characters so much, but the story itself, like, if you want a hard-hitting World War II novel, this is not it for you. If you want a light romantic story with both found and real family, with that level of unease with the setting of World War II, I'd say this is more for you. It doesn't go too deep. It's not going to wreck you. It's not going to show you the horrendous things that were done to people. That sort of stays on the periphery. It is more about the people, more about the characters, but I did really enjoy this. And the last thing I read in the month of August was Play Along, which is the 4th book in the Windy City series. I am 1 book away from finishing this series. Rewind Back, I believe, is the last book. I don't think we're getting more, although in this one I feel like there was another one alluded to. I don't know, but I think Rewind Back is the last one. Play Along follows Isaiah, who is the brother of Kai, who we see in Caught Up, I think is the name. Isaiah has always been like the happy-go-lucky sort of playboy, always with a cheeky smile on his face, always there to make everybody laugh, sort of character. And he has been, to everybody's knowledge, totally in love with Kennedy Kay, who is one of the team's athletic support staff, for years since she started. But she's been engaged that entire time. But then about a year ago, she stopped wearing her engagement ring, and Isaiah thought, this is my chance. So he sort of ramps up the flirting, but Kennedy doesn't really take him seriously. Kennedy then meets him when they're out. He is out with his friend, with the team in Vegas, and she is there for her stepsister's bachelorette party. Her stepsister, who's getting married to her ex-fiance. Yep. There's another book in this year that actually that happens in, but different series. But I have another book that I read this month where that happens. If you read it, you know, but I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, so she doesn't want to be with the bachelorette party, so he's like, let's go get something to eat. I'll walk you home. It's fine, or back to the hotel. But they end up getting really, really drunk on tequila, and they get married. They end up getting married in Vegas. And then when they go home and it's made public because paparazzi, her job is at risk, and so they decide to keep up with the fake marriage until she can get a new job. She's got an interview for a job across the country, and so they try and keep up the charade. But Isaiah is totally head over heels for Kennedy, so he has seen this as 6 months to get her to fall for him. Isaiah himself has a lot of issues with anxiety. He keeps a lot down. Like I say, he's always the one with a joke. He's always the one to make other people smile, other people laugh. But him and Kai, they had a really rough time of it when they were younger. Their mum died when they were quite young, and Kai became fully responsible for Isaiah. And while Isaiah saw it as like a burden on his brother, so he tried to be as easy as possible. He didn't really acknowledge the burden that it had on him, the effect that it had on him. And so you see a lot of that through the book, as Isaiah has to deal with a lot of his anxiety, a lot of his issues when it comes to losing people and abandonment and putting other people before him, even though outwardly, if you just met him, you would think he was a bit of a playboy and just like a good time guy with no deeper feelings. He is actually a very, very deep kind of guy, and Kennedy starts to find that out the more she gets to know him. Kennedy herself has been told she is cold, that she is unlovable, that she is not, she's been thrown over for her stepsister for a start, and she has a lot of issues when it comes to her confidence and her self-worth. Her family are awful, and she starts to build up this relationship with Isaiah, someone she's comfortable with, someone she can turn to and know that he'll always tell her the truth, and that she can give herself that chance to be more confident in herself and learn new things and try new things and have a safety net. And I love these two together. It's not my favourite. I still think that I think it's the second book is my favourite, which I think is Indy and Ryan is probably my favourite, and I think a lot of people say that, but I really loved Isaiah and Kennedy as characters. I loved their relationship, and I loved the overarching story throughout the book. So all in all, I am really excited to read Rewind It Back, which is Rio's story. Finally, he gets his love story, and I'm actually quite excited to have the books on my shelves, so I need to get on that. Thanks so much for watching. That is the end of the video. Finally, we got there. If you want to let me know you were here, if you leave me some kind of sports emoji, Isaiah plays baseball, so does Kai. The other characters in it play hockey and basketball. So if you leave me some kind of sports related emoji down in the comments, that would be great. If you've read any of these and you want to talk about them, please feel free to do so. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!